Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. I'm gonna do something about that intro. I think it's getting kind of dull. How about this one? Alright folks, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today with another game discussion. Today we're gonna be talking about demos. That's right, you remember demo discs? I remember demo discs. I grew up, I think, in the ripe golden age of the demo disc. PC Gamer, OXM, I think I had a Daikatana demo disc at one point. It never ran on my PC, so fortunately I did not have to deal with the disappointment that so many of you Romero fans did indeed have to deal with. But I would say that the OXM demo disc was probably the biggest one for me. The original Xbox was my first big console, I would say, as someone who finally had my own money from my paper route. So a lot of those demo discs helped me make decisions on the purchases that I would end up making. And I think I probably bought well over 30 games just based on demos that I played on those OXM demo discs. I had an entire, really hideous plasticky flip-up CD holder full of those demo discs, and friends would come over not just to play my games, but also to check out the demos. And I think that I probably ended up having them buy many copies of those games based on the demos they played at my house. So there's no doubt that the developers and the publishers who went through the trouble of getting a hold of those publications, sending them a printed demo disc, ended up selling additional copies because of those demos. So flash forward, decades later, or a decade later, I'm not that old, thank God, and we live in an age where demos are almost non-existent, especially when it comes to big AAA developers. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. I would say that indie developers are more than ready to put out demos of their game. When you look at the Steam demos page on, in the Steam library, in the Steam store, it's loaded with indie developer demos. And I think they do have a good reason to put demos up, especially as a smaller studio. They want to give people the opportunity to play their game and check it out, and then you kind of have that impulse buy because most indie games are really affordable. So if you play a demo and you really like it and you find out the game's $15, chances are you're going to buy it. So it works really well for them. But I still think that AAA pubs and developers should be publishing demos. There's really no reason not to. I think if you went back like a year ago to the point where we didn't really have the robust refund options that we have now through Steam and like Origin, you could play devil's advocate and say that they didn't want to release demos because they would rather have someone buy their game and hate it, knowing that there was really nothing they could do in order to get their money back. If you were on the console, maybe you could sell it to a friend or sell it to GameStop, even worse, and get even less money. But the PC side of things, you were really ultra screwed. I mean, you can't do anything with the PC game, especially if you bought it on disc. Once the activation code's been used, you can't trade the disc in at GameStop. You can't really even give it to another friend to transfer the code across. You're pretty much effed. And the same thing went with digital purchases, again, up until about a year and a half ago when Steam and Origin implemented hardcore refund systems. So I think we can take that sort of devil's advocate perspective out of the mix now and say that that's no longer a part of it because people can straight up refund the game for the full amount of money. It's a small inconvenience to the consumer because you have to wait, sometimes up to a week to get the money back into your account, but you can refund a game if it doesn't run well, or even if you simply hate it and you decided that you hated it within the first 3 minutes. Yes, there's windows and things of that nature, but let's just get that clear. You have a way to refund games now. So why aren't we seeing demos all over the place for these big AAA games? Now, if you go back, not even as far back as the demo disc, but when we were actually starting to see digital demos on the Xbox 360, on PC, the PlayStation 3, there was a point when demos for games would come out sometimes up to a month before the game actually released. Nowadays, they do this and they call it a beta. They launch a beta for a game 2 weeks before the game goes live when the game's already gold on disc, and maybe they'll consider doing a day one patch. But you would legitimately have a demo of the game that was in pretty great condition, and you would play it to death. You would play the crap out of it until that game went live. What better way as a publisher and a developer to get people excited about your game than to give them a way to play it as much as they want until the game releases? Now, we could have a bigger discussion about getting burned out from playing a demo, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. The plain and simple fact is, I know many of you, played a lot of these demos for these games, hours and hours on end, waiting for the full game to release, waiting to have access to the other areas of the map. What else am I going to be able to do? Give me more levels, give me more equipment. Demos were a big thing, and I do strongly believe, sadly, I have no numbers to back it up, that demos helped sell games, and I still believe today that they would. Now, this is a discussion that I had about 2 years ago. As I said, I feel it's more relevant now with the refund systems in place, but it was also sort of reactivated or brought up again because of what Bethesda has been doing with the Doom demo. So at E3, Bethesda was great, and they came out on stage, hey, we're launching a free Doom demo for all of the platforms. You can play it today throughout the length of E3. Now that's great, giving people the chance to check out Doom if they haven't already bought it and actually play it, maybe see how it runs in their PC, but only for a week? A timed demo? It's a bit odd. Now they actually ended up extending the demo past the end of E3, and then just today, this morning, they announced that they were going to leave the demo up for free indefinitely. Good on them. I thought it was kind of a hilarious, element to me. It was like, why isn't the demo just available in general? Because when they first announced it, that's what I thought, until I heard them say until the end of E3, and I was kind of like, wait, what? Who does that? Who does a timed demo? Just release the demo forever. How many people are going to potentially play that demo over the next 2 years and then go out and buy Doom? Even more so when the game gets to the point where it's at a much more affordable price, and you have that impulse buy. If someone plays the demo just on a whim because they're looking for something to play, maybe even in the holidays, looking for a gift to ask somebody for Christmas, or next summer when they're during the gaming drought, and they see your game is $15 on Amazon and they just played the demo, they're going to go buy it. To me, I just see endless, pathways for demos to help sell copies of games. Now, the other side of it, obviously, is the player being able to check out the game, experience it, find out whether or not they like it. But for those of us on the PC, regardless of the wonderful listings we have of recommended and required PC specifications, it's nice to be able to play a game without spending any money and find out whether or not it performs well on your rig. Again, as someone who's been PC gaming for the last, dead seriously, 12 years, but I've been playing PC games since the days of Road Rash. I've been around PCs. Those of us could say that we understand the capabilities of our rig. But I think we're also at a point in time when games are releasing under very short development cycles. We're seeing a lot of titles release with poor optimization. And really, our only way to find out about these optimization issues is to watch someone else's video, to watch somebody on YouTube, Total Biscuit, do a port report or a breakdown of a game to see how it performs. But even then, we don't have the answers to know how it's going to run exactly on our rig. Most of those people, like TB, test their games on, one or two rigs. He's got a laptop and he has a desktop with, his whatever he's running with it. I think he's been using 1080s lately. That's one specific setup. It's completely different from my PC. It's probably completely different from your PC. The only way to truly be able to know how something performs on your rig in real time is to play it on your rig in real time. And that is the ability that a demo for a game would give you. And I had the fortunate opportunity to talk to several of you guys over the last 2 days regarding this whole Doom demo thing. Just recently talked with Fuzzle. He played it, found that it wasn't really his game, but also that it didn't perform that well on his PC. I talked to a couple of you other guys on Twitter. I also talked to a friend of mine who gave Doom a go for the first time. It's something he wanted to pick up, but he really wasn't sure about it. He wasn't too interested in the single player, and the multiplayer ended up looking disappointing, so he never grabbed it. Told him yesterday, hey, the demo's free, why don't you check it out? I gave him my old GPU, and he checked it out and was actually able to play it, and he's looking to purchase it once it goes on sale. And as I said, I talked to another one of you guys on Twitter who played the demo, thought they were going to hate it, and then found out they loved it and ended up picking it up on sale on Green Man Gaming today. So, 3 great examples of how playing the demo for Doom was able to help someone make their purchase decision or prevent them from making a purchase decision that they would have otherwise regretted and then either held on to or, again, just use the refund system. To me, it's something that benefits consumers so deeply. It makes no sense that more big pubs and developers aren't doing it all the time. And when I try and think of the negatives as the developer, again, we have that devil's advocate discussion regarding hoping that you sell copies of your game, even though it's not that great. That's silly. If you've got a great product, it's going to sell. You shouldn't be thinking to yourself, well, hopefully we can sell, copies, even if people don't like the game. That's a silly discussion. I don't even like to have it. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is that we do have the really great benefit at this day and age of being able to watch people play the game, watch all these YouTube videos, check out all these streamers, and pretty much see the game from every single facet in, every single dimension, every part of that experience without ever touching it. But I stand by the fact that nothing is quite like actually playing the game for yourself, and certain games more so than others. So let me give you guys an example. I've been looking at Total War Warhammer since it launched. Now, I've never been a Total War person. I think I played a Total War game once, you know, like way back in the day. I like RTSs, and I like the idea of big, large-scale RTSs. I played some of them. I actually liked the Middle-earth RTS they had on console way back in the day. That was actually a hell of a lot of fun. And I did grow up playing a lot of real-time strategy games like Command & Conquer, but I kind of fell out of that genre, and there's been nothing that has really lashed onto me and sunken its teeth into my gaming heart and just made me want to play it till the wee hours in the morning. Total War looks like that game, but no matter how many videos I watch and how many streams I sit in on, I just, you know, can't wrap my head around whether or not it's for me. So I've had it in my Green Man gaming cart a half a dozen times since it launched. It's in my cart right now for $47.99. It's 20% off. Still not ready to pull the trigger. Had there been a demo out for this game, even, you know, a day after it launched, I would have played it and been able to make my decision at this point. And a big part of me believes that if I play the game, I'll probably like it. But I'm not willing to take that risk, at least not at the $50 mark, when there are other things like the channel that I can be spending my money on. So, just a small example for you. Now, the footage you guys have actually been seeing is from a game called MXGP2. I actually played the first MXGP, liked it, but never ended up buying it. I actually played the demo for it. So MXGP2 had a demo out, and I, for the first time, checked it out today, and I played the crap out of it. I played the demo for like an hour while I was waiting for some stuff to render out, and realized I absolutely loved the game, and that I'm probably going to buy it within the next couple of weeks. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and you know, I can see myself playing that demo probably again and again over the next couple weeks. The same thing happened with the new Trackmania game. I played the demo for Trackmania Turbo. That's now been added to my must-buy list. So these are games that I probably would have just walked past, said, okay, whatever. But I think playing demos for games has been a good way that I've built sort of my back catalog of games that I'd like to pick up when they go on sale. You know, that's potentially a game that would have never gotten a purchase from me. And even though it's getting a purchase, when it's on sale, it's a purchase nonetheless. So that's my thoughts on demos. Let me know what you guys think about demos. How do you feel about them? Would you like to see more of them from big AAA developers and publishers? You know, I think we can't be too picky on when demos release anymore. I'd be happy to get a demo the day of the release or a couple days after. You know, I think most of us are really patient. And anyone who would be looking forward to waiting to play a demo, I think would have no problem waiting, you know, 1, 2, 3 days after the game launches to get their hands on a taste of the game before they lay down the money on the table. So let me know what you guys think about it. If you had any past experiences with demos that led you to purchasing a game, let me know. And if there are any games out right now that you would love to have a demo for to help you make that final purchase decision, let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.